Does your dog see dead people? You got some ghosts in your house your dog has issues with? Got a great story coming up. Welcome everybody, I'm Tom Purcell and welcome to our first podcast. We've anxiously waited for this, but this is our podcast called The Art of the Dog. So what I'd like to do is bring up one of my favorite stories in The Art of the Dog, and that's Spanky the ghost dog. One of my favorite stories because I got this call around Halloween. And this man called me and he said, I don't know what's going on with my dog, but I'm afraid my dog saw a ghost in my house. Of course he did. So tell me about it. So he said, well, all of a sudden my dog won't go in my house anymore. He fights me tooth and nail. And I kind of live in an old house that's kind of haunted looking. I said, okay, I'll see you in the morning. So I took a ride out to Gainesville. And sure as heck, it looked like the Munsters' house. And he said, don't bother coming to the house because my dog's next door at my mom's house. I'll meet you there. Met the dog, grabbed the dog, put him on a red leash, went over to the Munster house with clapboards hanging off and no paint. It was quite a scene. And went in the front porch. The first thing I noticed was kind of a gross, big old ashtray full of cigarette butts, and that kind of scared me out of the house. But the dog was very uneasy, I could tell. So I took my time with him. We went in through the porch into the living room. Got inside the house and this dog was a wreck. It just wanted out. But I'm walking the dog around the walls and letting the dog sniff, trying to figure out what's going on. The first thing I noticed was a big dormant wood stove. The dog had a problem with that, didn't want to get near it. And then we went into the kitchen. In the kitchen I noticed the dog was getting really edgy, and I thought maybe it's the linoleum floor that scared the dog with his long nails. And by the way, Spanky was an 11-year-old American bulldog who had already had a stroke. His mouth was hanging from one side. He had ridiculously long nails, and he just looked so pathetic, but he was such a sweetheart. So we're walking around the house, and I did notice something else. I noticed an empty wood pellet bag in the trash. So I'm thinking they're a heating source. So be mindful, the whole time Spanky, he wants out of the house. I said to the owner, who lives here? Well, my daughter, my wife, myself, and a friend. And I noticed that you guys got kind of a nagging cough. Are y'all healthy? He said, oh yeah, it's just from smoking. I said, okay. So what is your heat source in this house? Well, we have an old natural gas furnace in the basement. I said, why don't you do yourself a favor, call the National Fuel Gas, have your furnace checked. Just for fun. Well, he called me a couple hours later because he did it immediately. And the house was full of carbon monoxide. And what Spanky was trying to tell these people is you don't have a ghost. You have poison in this house. Get out. And Spanky was truly the hero. Spanky saved that whole family. That's my favorite Spanky story. And so what we'll do is week after week, we'll get into different stories about the art of the dog and numerous other stories that haven't made any books yet that are just amazing. But what I want you folks to do is feel free to join the art of the dog with your own issues, and let's see if we can solve some problems, okay? Why do we walk a dog on the left-hand side? Any answers? I gotta tell you, for no good reason whatsoever, except continuity. They say if we walk all the dogs on the left-hand side, it will just make sense. They used to say that because the hunter had the gun in his right hand, dog was off to the left. Or you're shaking hands with possibly even a stranger, dog is off to the left. Nowadays, what do we have? We got our phone in our right ear, dogs off to the left. So let's keep all the dogs the same, keep our dog to the left. You know, when we're training our dogs to enter and to exit our vehicles, we probably ought to train them to just use one single door. If they use one single door and they get used to that, they won't be jumping out the first door that you open, like maybe your driver's door, your passenger door. So let's train them to a little more continuity. Let's just train them to use one door, preferably a back door. With the hundreds and hundreds of dogs that I've worked with, I've only ever been bit once, and I want to tell you why. I had a client call me because the dog had bitten her husband and both her children, and this dog was basically just dangerous. I got to the house, took the dog for a walk, we got along fine. Got back to the house, and it didn't take me long to discover that this particular dog had claimed the mom. And the most dangerous part, as sad as it sounds, is the mom kind of got off on it. She thought it was really cool and warned her family, you guys better be careful, this dog loves me, and this dog will bite you, this dog will hurt you, you better be nice to me. This is kind of demented thinking. I came back with the dog, had the dog on the red leash. We sat at the table, and the lady, kind lady, sat next to me. And I said, could you do me a favor? Could you go to the other end of the table? This is a very long table. So she got up and she moved to the other end of the table, and the dog went to go with her. As I stopped the dog with the red leash, he turned, looked at me, and he hit me in the chest so hard that the chair I was in flipped over backwards. He's on top of me. All of a sudden, we're rolling all over the kitchen floor, fighting like the devil, blood everywhere. Unfortunately, the blood was all mine. And this fight went on for several seconds. Finally got my footing, grabbed him by the face, picked him up. He screamed and peed all over himself, and the fight was over, okay? So I was able to drop the dog. They wanted to put him in a kennel right away. I said, no, I just won that fight. We immediately went outside for a walk. We got along fine. Now, it's not my job to tell you what to do with your dog or the problems that you have with your dog, but it is my job to let you know you have a very scary situation here. Unfortunately, this particular dog did attack a 4-year-old and had to be put down. Question I want to ask is, what kind of dog do you think this is? This breed, believe it or not, has the highest statistics of dog bites, this particular breed. Any guesses? So of course I got Doberman coming at me and Pit Bull, and the answer is going to surprise you. The dog breed with the highest statistics of dog bites, believe it or not, is the Labrador Retriever, the family dog. But in their defense, one of the reasons for that is because there's so many Labrador Retrievers, and unfortunately, too many owners that really don't know what they're doing. So again, not giving their dog direction, giving it too much freedom, allowing it to do things like claim furniture, claim people, claim their food, claiming. You know, my rule is simple. If you have a dog in your house, unless he pays the mortgage, nothing is his. Everything is yours. Even his dog food is not his. It's yours. You just share it with him. Hey folks, thanks for listening this week. On behalf of my co-host Gus here, we can't wait to see you next week, and we'll have another outstanding show.